Hello there. I have not been posting anything for a while because first of all I was down with flu. I'm recovering and I'm doing better now, so I'm back with my videos. I'm going to do a very interesting video, which will be my next video, which is more about how do big companies actually deal with open source. For example, Netflix, they do a lot of software development. Microsoft, for example, or let's say companies like Oracle, because they use a lot of open source and they contribute to a lot of open source projects, but there can be a lot of legal challenges around all that work. So how do they handle it? That is going to be my next video. But for this video, I have something interesting to share with you. And the thing is that I just got Canon 60 Mark II camera. That's true, I'm shooting this from Canon. I also have GH5, and that's my beloved GH5 camera. I'm not going to get rid of this camera. I'm going to keep both these cameras. And the reason is simple. Whenever I travel, especially for open source events, and I do interviews with people, I'm never in those interviews. And this is the manual for Canon. And I want to be in those videos. I want to be there, talk to people. So these two camera setup will allow me to have a dual camera setup. It's a bit challenging how I'm going to set both cameras so that I am not carrying too much luggage. I am like still lightweight when it comes to traveling. I don't want to bring two tripods, so we'll see about that, but that is secondary. The reason why I chose this camera is more important. Why I didn't get another GH5, because the price of GH5 is actually cheaper than Canon 6D Mark II. The reason is that as much as I love the 4K capabilities of this lovely, beautiful camera, it's not a very good photography camera when it comes to low lighting. I had Nikon before that, and I loved all the pictures. With this one, I tried at for Christmas or my kid's birthday, and all the shots at night were not good. Even if I have this super expensive 42.5 1.2 lens, it's not that good. All the pictures look like they are from those old Nokia phones. So I was looking for a camera that can do that. But all the cameras that I looked at, Sony A7R3, but the problem is that it's similar to GH5. It's super expensive. If I get the whole camera setup with the lens and everything. I don't use kit lenses. By the way, this is 2470 2.8 lens. It's super expensive lens. So what I meant to say that I don't do kit lenses. So if I buy the whole package with Sony, it would be something around $6,000. And for a secondary camera, that's not worth it. And the biggest problem is flip out a screen. Like for example, when I'm shooting this video, I want to be able to see myself on the screen so that everything is good. Though I am using this Note 8 app to record everything, but there is a lot of lag on the app because it's connected through Wi-Fi. So I really don't know the sharpness and everything. So I want to be able to see on the screen as I'm looking at it. And many times the screen freezes, the app freezes, so I don't even know whether it's recording or not. And if I'm in an interview and if I don't even record the whole interview, what's the point? So that's very critical to me to be able to see the screen there. At the same time, if I'm vlogging, though I don't vlog much, that helps. So I looked across all the full format camera. Anyway, let's not get into that. Let's start point by point what I was looking for. So number one thing was, as I said, when I compare to other camera, was flip out screen. I want to be able to see it. Sony, they don't have flip out screen for any of those high-end full format cameras, so they were out of picture. Given that they're first of all super expensive, their lens selection is good but not as good as Nikon or Canon. So I didn't see any value in spending more money than my GH5 to buy a Sony camera. That was out. So this is the only full format camera that has a flip out screen where I can see things. That was the number one thing. Number two was selection of lenses. When I took pictures with this camera and I compared with the pictures that I took with that camera, it's a huge, the color chemistry, the color science is very good. Sharpness is amazing. And the lens selection, oh my god, I mean, you cannot beat Canon or Nikon when it comes to lens selection. So that camera also doubles as my photography camera. So I can bring both cameras, so even if I'm at the event or the personal events, I can very easily take pictures and do all those things. That was the second thing. One drawback was 4K, because this camera can shoot in 4K. But the problem that I have seen with 4K, even when I shot with that, was that first of all, the footage is long. So if I shoot a 20 minutes long video interview, it would be more than 100 GB. I recall when I was at Open Source Summit, I had to run at Target at night and buy an external 2 terabyte hard drive because my Mac ran out of space. So it takes a lot of space. And the second thing is, if I'm shooting an interview, I don't really see the value of 4K. Just images are sharper because you have more density there. But I see value of 4K more when I'm doing landscape, where I can see more stuff for interviews. Yes, I have mixed feelings about it, because you know the footage is future proof. You have high resolution image, because if you look at compare 980p, it's more like 320 of the old days. So yes, 4K is important, but given the amount of work that I'm doing right now, I don't think it's critical. At the same time, editing those 4K footage is even more challenging. I just upgraded my system. I got 1070 Ti graphic card for my system, so I can at least edit 4K videos. Not only that, when I render those videos, it takes 5 hours to render one 20 minutes interview. After I apply all the effects, I do the color correction, I do all the audio effects and audio layering. It takes way too much time to process those videos, and if there is something wrong, I'll have to spend another 5 hours. So usually what was happening was I would leave it overnight, and in the morning I will upload it to YouTube. I didn't see any value for now, so I don't mind 1080. Actually, even on this camera, I am not shooting at 1080p. I'm not doing 4K anymore. I do 4K only for the landscape footage, so that I can have some archival value of that. So while that is a drawback, it's not a big deal, because this camera can do a better job at 1080p. What else was there that was critical for me? So lens selection was important, flip out screen was important, and 1080 is okay with me. What are the things that I decided on this camera? I mean, the basic was that I did not want to go to Sony way, because it's very expensive, the lens selection is not great, and there's no flip out screen, and it's more equivalent to GH5 given the price. And I already have GH5 and I want to keep GH5, so there was no point in investing in two mirrorless cameras. Yeah, and the thing is that this is not a mirrorless camera. This is a DSLR camera with where there's a mirror that moves. I don't mind it. I have always had a DSLR earlier, and yeah, it's loud, it's heavier, but to be honest with you, the bodies of both cameras are same weight. It's just the lens which is heavier on Canon because of bigger lens. So these are the few things that led me to buy Canon 6D Mark II. One was flip out screen, great selection of lenses, very good color science for these cameras, and that's pretty much all. So I now have this camera, so I'll be using both cameras to shoot, and mostly I'll be shooting on Canon, but whenever I travel, I'll bring both cameras. Thanks for watching, and let's work on the next video. So let's go back to work. See you next time.